The DNC better not pick the wrong candidate. That's a comment I keep seeing on our videos, and yes, we really do read the comments. Please keep them coming. So, I have great news. The DNC doesn't pick the nominee. You do. And in a lot of ways, the process is fairer and more democratic than the actual general election. Now, I know a lot of you think the decision's going to be made by the DNC in a room that looks like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
But it's really made by you in a room that looks like this. Right now, there's a lot of attention on Iowa and New Hampshire. That's because they get to weigh in first. The Iowa caucus is on February 3rd. The New Hampshire primary is about a week later on February 11th. We'll explain the difference between caucuses and primaries in another video, but it's basically two different ways of citizens voting for people. Everybody's vote is worth the same, so in theory it shouldn't matter who goes first. But the fact is, if you do well in Iowa and New Hampshire, it's easier to raise money, it's easier to get press, it builds excitement, so you get a snowball effect that makes it much more likely to win the other contests. That's why you had 21 candidates running around the Iowa State Fair trying to see who could eat the most fried foods on a stick. Now, one thing that's not great about Iowa and New Hampshire having so much influence is they're not the most diverse states. Iowa, 90% white. New Hampshire, 93% white. That may have something to do with why our presidents have looked like this. The DNC realized this was a problem, and in 2008 they moved up the dates for South Carolina, which is 31% people of color, and Nevada, which is about 26% people of color. The primary is still too front-loaded with white voters, but at least South Carolina and Nevada have made it a little better. FYI, it's Nevada, not Nevada.
Nevada. Nobody says it the other way. It has to be Nevada.
He's wrong. Anyway, those are the first four big contests. They all happen in February, and not everyone's going to survive, but the ones who do will make it to Super Tuesday. On Tuesday, March 3rd, 15 states and American Samoa will have their primaries. And if you haven't been to American Samoa, it's lovely. And the remaining states will have their primaries between then and June. Now, what the candidates are actually winning in these primaries are delegates. Those are people who will vote for them at the convention. And whoever ends up with the most delegates wins. It's like electoral votes in the general election, only every vote counts in a way that it doesn't in the general election. In the general election, almost all states are winner take all. So even though Trump won Pennsylvania by less than 1%, he got all 20 electoral votes. If you're a Pennsylvanian who voted against Trump, your vote kinda didn't count. In the Democratic primary, the delegates are awarded proportionally. So even if your candidate doesn't win your state, your vote still counts toward their total tally. So what about so-called super-delegates? The short answer is you don't have to worry about them. Super-delegates have never impacted the outcome of a primary race, and they don't actually have superpowers. It's basically an honorary position to get more elected officials to show up to the convention. And as of 2020, superdelegates, also called automatic delegates, are not even part of the first round of voting at the convention. So, all the power's in your hands. Here's how you use it. 1. Find out when your primary or caucus is. Just Google that. 2. Make sure you're registered to vote. 3. A lot of people miss this step. When you're registering to vote, make sure to select the party whose primary you want to vote in. A lot of states won't let you vote in a primary unless you're a member of that party. And there's a good reason for that. They don't want people trying to sabotage the process by intentionally voting for the person they think is the worst candidate in the other party. It doesn't cost anything to join a party. It doesn't commit you to anything. It just lets you have a say. Will Democrats ultimately pick the best candidate to be the nominee? Maybe. That's a matter of opinion. But as in 2016, 2008, 2004, etc., the nominee is going to be the candidate that the most people vote for. If you have a favorite candidate, volunteer, knock on doors, give that candidate some money, and most importantly, vote in your primary. Will the Democrats pick the best nominee?